Okay, so we're going to try things a little bit differently here. So this is going to be the July 2019 horoscope. And we do have an eclipse alert. July 2nd, we're under it right now. This is the 10 Cancer eclipse, and we've got the stepmother of all eclipses coming on July 16th. So be prepared. Alrighty, so July 2nd through July 7th, 2019. This is the week of ugly. We are taking the 10 Cancer eclipse. There's a separate video on the 10 Cancer eclipse that we're dealing with. This is not a fun week, so whatever you guys do, be careful and be mindful, and understand that it's the whole month is tough, but this week in particular is a bit of a hot zone. All right, and like I said, there's a video on the eclipse this week going on if you want to take a look at that. All right, so the highlights for this week, July 2nd through 7th. First, we have an eclipse that starts, or that is exact on July 2nd. While this is going on, we are also under a Mercury retrograde station shadow. The Mercury retrograde station will be exact on July 7th. So every day between the 2nd and the 7th, we're under that Mercury retrograde mitzvahlistic gremlin activity along with the eclipse activity. So yeah, this combination of things will also give us an entire full week of wondering if the gods really are crazy. Now, here's how to handle it. Tread lightly and understand that this week is a potential flashpoint, and even the smallest things can ignite into giant catastrophic disasters. So mind your responses and actions accordingly. And to give you an example of what I'm talking about, this occurred on June 28th, but it is still within the window of eclipse activity. So this is technically under the eclipse, and this is some of the stuff that we're talking about. So apparently it got so hot in Spain that a manure pile spontaneously combusted and turned into a 13,000 acre wildfire. This is the kind of stuff we can expect under this hot zone with this particular eclipse, and now with Mercury making its station. All right, July 7th through 20th. Now this is the hot zone, or the burn zone. Right? So this week we've got all sorts of insanity and another eclipse too, which will be occurring on the 16th. All right, so the highlights for this time period. Mercury will be at 4 Leo. It is retrograde, and it will be squaring off Uranus at 5 Taurus. Expect a lot of misunderstandings. Expect people's brains to move faster than their mouths are, which could lead to a lot of miscommunications. Also, not necessarily the best tact on the planet. Also, too, some of the things that do occur with Mercury-Uranus squares like this is the divulgence or exposition of information that wasn't necessarily intended to get out. So we can expect some unexpected and enlightening skeletons coming out of the closet and or discoveries and breakthroughs. So this will be an interesting week. Now, the stepmother of ugly eclipses occurs on July 16th, and we will remain in that shadow from July 7th to July 20th. So literally 2/3 of the month, we're under all sorts of major unpleasant eclipse activity. With this particular eclipse at 24 Capricorn, did we mention that this eclipse also involves Pluto? Yeah, so one of the things you guys should know with this particular eclipse in Capricorn, because it does involve Pluto, we can look for events and situations and circumstances that affect either large masses of people, like large numbers of people, or have very, very long-term consequences and significance. So in your personal life, you would want to keep an eye on things that are occurring or coming up at this time, because they're bigger than they may appear. On a global or national level, in your country or area of residence, definitely pay attention to what's going on with your governments and social things. Here in the United States, at the time of this eclipse on the 16th, on the 17th, Robert Mueller will be testifying finally before Congress. He's doing this under the eclipse with Pluto. Also, the day before the eclipse on the 15th, apparently the Department of Agriculture scientists have been given an ultimatum. They've been given less than a month's notice that they either have to move to Kansas City, Kansas City, Missouri, or they are agreeing to be terminated from their jobs. There's a lot of global significance to this, and there's a link, I'll put it in the comment section, to a little piece that Rachel Maddow has done explaining why this is important. And this also is occurring under the eclipse. These are huge, not good events. These have catastrophic consequences for somebody at some level. Okay, and while this is going on, did we also mention that the Sun will be opposing Saturn and then moving into opposition with Pluto until the 16th, ramping up all this really uncomfortable kind of boot on your neck energy and heavy-handed authoritarianism and pushback. So people are not joking around right now. Take those ultimatums seriously, and take your responsibilities and your duties very seriously. It's people are, especially people in positions of authority, are very sensitive to people acting up unnecessarily. So if you have a good cause and this is important, you should absolutely stand up for yourself. But understand that this is not a happy-go-lucky ha-ha time. So don't test people. Do not test people. Also, once the Sun finishes opposing Saturn and then moves on and finishes opposing Pluto, Venus is tagging along right behind it, and Venus will also oppose Saturn, and then it will oppose Pluto, and that will go on until the 20th. So with Venus doing all this stuff too, nobody's feeling loved or appreciated, and this is exacerbated by this eclipse and the Mercury-Uranus square. Oh my God. Be mindful of how you speak to people and how you talk to people. Really, be mindful. And by the time we get to the 20th, we're all going to be feeling like we should be wearing an EOD bomb suit, pictured in the picture right there. Now, here's how to get through this. You ready? 1, don't panic. 2, at this time under this eclipse, accept that there are karmic debts being paid through circumstances, and we just have to get through it as best we can. 3, also that lessons in faith and courage are being taught through these challenges. So no matter how bad it gets, understand that the bigger reward here is in your development. You're being given a challenge to rise to and discover your inner genius and all that sort of stuff. So you're going to have to do your best to make the best of your situations at this time. Number 4, pay attention. It's very important you pay attention. Everything is important right now, so pay attention. You may not know why something is important, but if you're noticing it, it matters. Number 5, do not panic. Number 6, if you must cry, try to do it where the children won't hear you or scare the horses. Number 7, remember that the seeds of greatness are planted in adversity, and you came into this world kicking and screaming without a single defense, and you made it this far successfully. Everything after that is a piece of cake by comparison. 9, no matter what happens, remember that from volcanic eruptions comes a soil so fertile that you could drop a seed and have a bumper crop sprout up immediately. And you can also find precious gems and minerals literally being tossed out like Mardi Gras beads from the volcano. We may lose the past, but we gain the chance to start over fresh. And finally, 10, the most important thing of all as far as getting through this time period. Operate from a place of forgiveness and love. It's the only way to navigate the darkness in the land of the dead and return to the light of the living. All right. The calm after the storm, July 20th to July 31st. So towards the end of the month, we actually get a little bit of a break, thank God. And here's where we're getting it. All right, highlights for this time period. Mercury will retrograde back into 29 Cancer on July 20th. It will join Venus in the late degrees of Cancer at this time. Both of them will also be approaching an opposition with Pluto together. So yeah, With Mercury and Venus both approaching that opposition with Pluto, we can expect some deep, personal, hurtful stuff to come up, and also things being dug up from the trenches. So there may be a lot of things that were buried or attempted to be buried that are finally going to come up for review and for being addressed. So it's not all bad, but boy, people are going to be really sensitive, especially with words. So words are powerful at this time. Choose them carefully. Now, Mars will be trining Jupiter at this time, but it will make a yaw to Saturn and Neptune. So we're finally feeling like we can take on the world, but only after we find our car keys or take a nap or both. And in the meantime, we're just really going to talk a good game about it. During this time period, I want you guys to watch July 28th for special final developments relating to the lunar eclipse in Capricorn, which is going to be like icing on the cake or the finest shave of chocolate curl to garnish an already elaborate effort. Either way, this is going to be the bell that rings as a formality. So July 28th, I would look for something interesting to happen, or something formal, like official. And that's it, folks. Oh, July 2019. It has been an adventure, and you have officially made August look like the vacation month it should be. So, July is a heck of a month. We're not going to get too much into specifics because I don't want to alarm you any more than I may have so far. And there's almost too much going on to focus on little bits, right? So the most important thing we can do this month is try to get through it as best we can, as unscathed as possible. I will put notes in down below, and I'll do a more written scope on my Patreon page, free to look at for you guys. And that's it. I'll have the eclipse report for the Capricorn eclipse coming up shortly, and we'll get more into depth in that. This entire month is dominated by the eclipses, so the eclipse reports are actually more useful to you. All right, talk to you later. Bye.